In the 5th year of my secret marriage with Gabriel, we finally decided to get divorced. I was willing to trade billions in assets for custody of my child. But my son, just like his father, had fallen for his Aunt Monica. The day of my son's birthday was also the day Monica competed in a cybersecurity attack and defense competition. Dragging my exhausted body, I stayed home to bake a cake and prepare his birthday party. Meanwhile, Gabriel took our son to the competition venue to cheer Monica on. On the stage, Monica shone brilliantly. Once, I belonged to that stage too. But after 5 years of marriage, in order to take care of both father and son, I had reduced myself to nothing more than the office tea girl under Gabriel. Off the stage, my son threw himself into Monica's arms, shouting excitedly, "Aunt Monica, I love you so much. I wish you were my mom." Beside them, Gabriel looked at the two of them with gentle eyes, filled with indulgent affection. At that moment, I suddenly let go. I gave up custody of my son. On the day of the divorce, my son panicked. "Mom, don't you want Andy anymore?" He cried his heart out, but I never looked back again. Chapter 1. The president will arrive in half an hour. Prepare the tea immediately. Abigail, the head of administrative services, strode into the office in high heels and gave me the order. Pairs of eyes, some envious, some disdainful, were all directed at me. Everyone in the department knew that I made excellent tea. That was why I had gained the president's favor and was assigned to handle the tea service for the executive office. I had just finished preparing the tea when Joel from the secretary's office came over. He handed me a bag of coffee beans, freshly ground black coffee, 2 cups, needed in 15 minutes. I recognized the beans. They were specially brought back from overseas by Gabriel last time. He normally didn't drink coffee, especially not black coffee. Joel paused. "Can you make it in time?" I nodded. The time was tight. To control the flavor, every step, from grinding to brewing, required precision. But 15 minutes later, I still served 2 cups of rich, aromatic black coffee. The entire top floor belonged to the executive office and the president's secretariat. Just as I carried the coffee upstairs, I heard hurried footsteps from the secretariat, followed by a uniform greeting behind me. "President Law, Miss Zhao." My steps faltered. I turned slightly and moved aside. Gabriel Law and Monica Zhao brushed past me. Both of them only tilted their heads slightly, glancing at me. "Thank you for your hard work. I'll take it from here." Joel came over and took the coffee. I nodded. When I looked up again, Gabriel Law and Monica Zhao were already seated on the sofa in the office. They leaned against each other naturally. Joel knocked. "President Law, Miss Zhao, your coffee." They looked up and saw me again. Then, in perfect unison, shifted their gaze back to Joel. I turned and left, like a proper employee, although it had already been half an hour past closing time. No one in the administrative department dared to leave. Only after the secretary's office called to say that President Law and Miss Zhao had left did everyone finally breathe a sigh of relief. Grabbing their coats, bags, and keys to leave work. Once we were out of the office surveillance area, people finally dared to gossip. "Isn't President Law married? He even has a child. Then what's going on with Miss Zhao?" It's obvious. President Law doesn't like his wife at all. Otherwise, why has he never made her identity public? Last time I heard Monica Zhao accidentally let slip that the president's wife climbed into his bed through improper means. It's probably true. My chest trembled slightly. I raised my hand, smoothing out the turmoil in my heart, and quietly chose a less crowded route, circling toward where my car was parked. My parking spot was very remote. Timid people didn't dare park there. First, the underground garage was confusing to navigate. Second, something had happened there before, and most people felt uneasy about it. But only in a place like that could I catch my breath. "Just got off work?" A man's cool voice came from ahead. I looked up and met his eyes. The lighting was dim. He leaned against the front of my car, his smile faint and indistinct. I walked over, pressed the key, and unlocked the car. He stepped aside from the hood. "I've already had the driver pick Andy up, so you don't need to prepare dinner. We might be back late tonight. Go to bed early." Gabriel lowered his gaze at me. I got into the driver's seat, then looked up at him. "Today is Andy's birthday. Did you ask him who he wants to spend it with?" I did. My heart tightened, and I couldn't say another word. Gabriel closed the car door for me. I started the engine. He leaned down by the window and added one more reminder. Drive safe. The resentment that had built up inside me nearly exploded at that moment. But I still nodded. My expression calm and unreadable. Chapter 2. Actually, I had no right to be angry. As others would put it, I had brought this upon myself. 10 years ago, I fell in love with Gabriel at first sight. 5 years ago, by a twist of fate, I ended up in his bed and became pregnant with Andy. Under heavy pressure from his elders, Gabriel had no choice but to marry me. He hated being schemed against. At first, I fantasized about moving him with my sincerity, hoping he would change his heart. I also tried every possible way to clear up the misunderstanding from back then. In fact, during the first 2 years, it worked quite well. His attitude toward me improved significantly. But 3 years ago, at a racing competition, he fell in love at first sight with Monica, who was confident and dazzling. At that time, however, Andy was still young and couldn't be without his mother. So he made an agreement with me when Andy turned 4. We would divorce. I had agreed to the divorce 3 years ago, so there was nothing left to struggle over. The only thing I couldn't accept was that he wanted custody of Andy. I could leave the marriage with nothing, but I could not give up my child. Nor could I tolerate the child I carried for 10 months and raised with my own hands calling someone else mom. Clearly, Gabriel had thought of this too. Over the past year, he had often brought Andy to spend time with Monica, to make me give up custody. He had truly gone all out. When I got home, even though I was exhausted, I still made Andy a birthday cake myself and specially cooked preserved egg and pork congee for him. A few days ago, he had wrapped his arms around my neck and coquettishly said he wanted to eat the congee I made on his birthday. Now there was cake. There was congee. I carefully thought about what else Andy might want to eat. And before I knew it, I had prepared a whole table of dishes. Looking at the spread of food, I couldn't help but laugh at myself. Who's going to eat all this? Are you stupid? I turned back and put all the dishes into the kitchen, but I still thought, when they come back, if they're hungry, at least this is better than ordering takeout. After finishing everything, I sat in the living room like a withered branch, waiting for 2 people who had no intention of coming home. Ollie, want to watch a competition? The SKP Cybersecurity Attack and Defense Tournament. Justin called. The SKP Cybersecurity Attack and Defense Tournament? Hearing it suddenly felt so distant. I had almost forgotten that I once had my own interests too. I went out and met him at the agreed location. The competition was held at Kaohsiung Sports Arena. It gathered many top computer experts from both home and abroad. Justin led me to the seats he had reserved and pointed at the only female contestant on stage wearing a mask. Her name is KK. She's a very famous hacker. She's been well known overseas these past few years. I heard she's planning to return to the country for development. I've had my eye on her for a long time. Justin's eyes lit up. It was obvious he truly admired KK. But with just one glance, I recognized who she was. Chapter 3. She's Monica. Huh? What? Justin snapped out of it. Damn. How is it her? My eyes must be broken. I couldn't bring myself to say something fake like don't be biased against her because of me. In truth, I was extremely wary of anyone close to me getting involved with Monica. I didn't know why, but as long as they had anything to do with her, they would completely switch sides to her. Just like how my father fell for her mother, no matter how my mother threatened him. Even with her life, he still chose to abandon his wife and child to be with her. My brother, my mother's own son, my husband, my own son, all the same. Maybe that was the power of someone who was everyone's favorite. The kind of woman the world seemed to revolve around, plus the kind who carried hidden identities. It was indeed hard not to be drawn to her. At that moment, Monica had just completed another round of attack and defense. The entire venue erupted in cheers, chanting KK's name. The moving big screen suddenly focused on a father and son. The light in their eyes was dazzling. The little boy was especially excited, shouting, "Go, Aunt Monica!" I had given birth to him and raised him for 4 years. Yet he had never adored me like this. I'm going to the restroom. Justin had also seen the big screen. His expression darkened. I'm heading out. I'll wait for you outside. I nodded. As soon as I came out of the restroom, I ran into someone familiar again. Followed him all the way here? even understand what's going on? Lucas Han washed his hands while looking at me through the mirror, a faintly mocking smile curling at his lips. He was one of Monica's loyal lapdogs, and also the third young master of the Han family, with a powerful background. In the past, for Gabriel's sake, I didn't want to offend people like him. I let them say whatever they wanted. But now, whether I understand or not is none of your concern. Third young master Han. I turned on the tap and washed my hands, not sparing him another glance. Lucas froze for a moment. As I left, I accidentally bumped into someone. Sorry. I apologized, looking up into a pair of cold, deep eyes. I had seen this face before in Gabriel's network of connections. Joaquin Han, the heir of the Han family. Among the 3 branches of the Han family, the eldest was in the military, the second in politics, and the third in business. In terms of power, the military branch was the strongest. This heir of the Han family rarely appeared in public. His sudden presence here today made it obvious Lucas had brought him to build military connections for Monica. Joaquin nodded slightly at me. I returned the gesture and left. Sure enough, Monica was coming from the other direction. A smile immediately spread across Lucas's face. Finished the competition? Monica nodded, then glanced curiously in the direction Lucas had been looking earlier, spotting a familiar figure. Alicia? Yeah, probably followed your man here. Monica smiled, unconcerned. You don't mind? Mind what? Lucas thought about it and realized it made sense. Although Alicia was undeniably beautiful, compared to Monica's confidence and radiance, she always seemed somewhat plain and forgettable. Lucas had seen countless women like Alicia, women who lived dependent on men. No matter how devoted or sincere they were, people of their status never lacked beautiful, love-struck women. Someone like her could never compare to Monica. Just then, Joaquin walked over, and Lucas introduced the two of them. Although Joaquin had watched the entire competition, he only greeted Monica and showed no immediate intention of recruiting her. Still, Lucas leaned in and said, other than Lin, I can't think of anyone more talented than her. Joaquin smiled faintly and headed into the restroom. Lucas shrugged. My brother's been trying to dig Lin out and bring her into the military. Don't mind it. It's fine. Monica nodded, smiling like a gentle spring breeze. As a gesture of goodwill, Lucas extended an offer to Monica. Now that you're back in the country, interested in joining Dingley? If it's Vortex, I might consider it. Lucas knew Monica had always been interested in the algorithm left behind by Lin, so he was more than willing to oblige. Vortex has quite a few fans of yours. Justin even asked about you before. If you join, they'll definitely be over the moon. Monica simply smiled, remaining calm and composed, untouched by either praise or insult. Chapter 4. I got into Justin's car. You okay? Justin handed me a bottle of water thoughtfully. I took a sip and nodded. I'm fine. Justin finally let out a breath of relief. Come back to Vortex. I've kept your position for you. I didn't answer immediately. After 4 years of being a T-girl, I had long fallen out of touch with this industry, especially after witnessing tonight's high-level cyber battles between elite hackers. I could feel that gap even more clearly. Let me think about it. Justin smiled. You're willing to consider it? Then I'll take that as a yes. I smiled back. It was rare to have a friend who wouldn't betray me. I cherished that. A child's voice suddenly reached my ears. Dad, are we going back already? I don't want to go back. Mom will make me eat cake and make wishes again. I'm not a 3-year-old anymore. I want to celebrate my birthday with Aunt Monica. Please. Not far away, a little boy clung to Gabriel's hand, acting spoiled. Under the car lights, I could even see the tears glistening at the corners of his eyes. Gabriel looked both indulgent and helpless. All right, then we'll wait for Aunt Monica. Aren't you going over? Justin asked me. I shook my head. Let's go. The car drove past them. Gabriel shielded Andy and stepped aside. Perhaps he recognized Justin's car, because he glanced inside. Our eyes met. I looked away, just like I did at the office. He smiled slightly, the same polite smile he gave any stranger. Aunt Monica. In the rearview mirror, my precious son finally saw his Monica aunt and rushed toward her with excitement. Justin quickly turned the car. The heart-piercing scene disappeared in an instant. I let out a small laugh. I'm not that fragile. Justin replied. Yeah, you're the strongest. When I got home, the birthday cake on the table felt almost ironic. I threw it into the trash. The carefully prepared dishes were dumped along with it. Even the happy birthday decorations were taken down. By the time I finished cleaning everything up, 2 hours had passed. The sound of a car came from the garden. Gabriel and Andy were back. Mom, I'm back. When he saw me in the kitchen, he patted his round little belly. His eyes darted around before he quietly slipped upstairs. I didn't call out to him. I simply tied up the trash bag and prepared to take it out. Gabriel had just taken off half his coat when he walked over and took the trash bag from me. I'll do it. It was indeed a bit heavy, so I let go. Upstairs, Andy opened his door a crack and peeked out. Seeing no one chasing after him, he stuck out his tongue playfully. Turning on his tablet, he complained to the person on the other end. Aunt Monica, you don't know how dangerous it was just now. I almost got caught by my mom. I was so scared she'd make me eat cake and longevity noodles. I'm really full. If I don't eat, she'll be sad, but if I do, I'll feel sick. Why does she always do such old-fashioned things? I came over with the birthday gift and heard everything from inside. It didn't hurt as much as I had imagined. I raised my hand and knocked on the door. Andy jumped like a startled rabbit, quickly shoving the tablet under his blanket. He ran over, but only opened the door halfway. Mom, I already ate a lot outside. He emphasized it seriously, almost pleading. I nodded. The toy you wanted. I handed it to him. Happy birthday. He took it happily. Thank you, Mom. I nodded again and turned to leave, holding the toy. Andy froze for a moment. It felt like something was missing today, but he was busy sharing his excitement with Aunt Monica, and his little mind had no time to think too much. After all, Mom would always be there. As long as he turned around, she would always be standing where she was, watching him gently. That day, I packed up a lot of things, and I also came to terms with many things. After returning to the room and finishing washing up, Gabriel was already lying in bed reading. Originally, I wanted to sleep in a separate room, but he said he was afraid Andy would notice something. It wouldn't be good for his growth. For the past 3 years, we had lived like this, under the same roof, on the same bed, yet peacefully distant. I lay down. He naturally put down his book and turned off the light. His warm, steady hand gently rested over the blanket on my waist. You've worked hard. He was referring to those bags of trash I had thrown away. Andy's custody goes to you. Chapter 5. The hand resting on my waist froze for a moment, then withdrew. After a short while, the man behind me replied, All right. No attempt to stop me. There was never going to be any. I closed my eyes. I was clearly exhausted, yet I couldn't fall asleep. I got up before dawn. I started packing my belongings. At some point, Gabriel had also gotten up. You don't have to rush to move out. The divorce won't be finalized that quickly. I didn't look up. I should start getting used to it. Gabriel said nothing. He leaned against the doorway and silently finished an entire glass of water. I'll have my lawyer contact you regarding the divorce agreement and property division. If you have any requests, just bring them up. Okay. I drove Andy to school one last time. Andy, starting tomorrow, Mom will be very busy. Dad will find a nanny to take care of you. You should listen to her from now on. Okay, Mom. I got it. I glanced at the rearview mirror. Andy was holding his tablet, chatting with a wide smile on his face. He hadn't been listening at all. I didn't say anything more and drove him all the way to kindergarten. Mom, will you pick me up this afternoon? Mom has something to do this afternoon. The driver will pick you up. Andy could barely hide the smile tugging at his lips. With his little backpack on, he happily got out of the car. Bye, Mom. Bye, Andy. As he turned away, Andy used his watch to make a call, chatting with someone again. Back in the car, I saw the unfinished conversation on his tablet. Aunt Monica, I want to have dinner with you. Will you take me to play games? What about your mom? Mom is always at home. I can see her anytime, but I can't see Aunt Monica every day. Andy misses you. There were many more messages, but I didn't read them. For a brief moment, it felt like my heartbeat slowed. I took out my phone. Justin, I'm ready to go back. Before, all I wanted was to take care of Andy and Gabriel. Now, I didn't have to anymore. Justin replied with a smile in his voice. Welcome back. This place will always be yours. My eyes suddenly felt warm. I submitted my resignation letter to Abigail. I hope to leave within a week. If there's a penalty for breaking the contract, I'm willing to pay it. Abigail had joined the company 2 years ago and was extremely capable. I had been in the company for 4 years, yet I was still just a tea girl. The moment she arrived, she became my superior. In truth, I knew that whether it was the administrative department or the executive office, many people secretly mocked me. But there was one thing they had to admit: my tea-making skills were irreplaceable in Gabriel's eyes. Over the years, it wasn't like they hadn't tried to learn in secret. Abigail especially had tried, but the results were never satisfactory. In the following week, Abigail's attempts to learn became openly obvious. I didn't hide anything. If she wanted to learn, she could. Not just her, many young girls in the department wanted to get closer to Gabriel through mastering the skill. When Joel came to pick up the tea and saw this apprenticeship spectacle, he was quite shocked. But he didn't say anything. It wasn't until the last day, when Abigail's tea was served to Gabriel. Gabriel merely took a light sniff before setting the cup down. The administrative department changed staff? Alicia resigned. Gabriel's hand paused slightly before he continued working. Joel didn't even know why he felt the urge, but he couldn't help adding, to leave within a week. She even paid a high penalty fee. Perhaps, in some way, he pitied me. Unfortunately, Gabriel showed no reaction at all. Chapter 6. Justin was the one who brought me to Vortex. Coincidentally, on the very same day, Lucas also brought Monica along. Cameron, the director of the technical department, practically rushed toward Monica. KK. Is it really KK? Monica remained calm and composed, extending her hand. Hello, I'm KK. My real name is Monica. Cameron was so excited his face turned red. He held onto her hand, unwilling to let go, listing all of KK's achievements over the years one by one. Justin looked at me. I looked at Justin. Both of us were a bit speechless. Lucas glanced at me, then chose to completely ignore me. To him, a tea girl like me had never been worth his attention. He walked straight toward Justin. Justin, I've brought you the person you wanted. Justin didn't even bother pretending anymore. His expression turned cold instantly. No need. I've already found the person I want. Only then did Lucas Hahn finally spare me a glance. You don't mean her, do you? The disdain and contempt in his eyes were completely undisguised. Justin instinctively stepped forward, shielding me. Mr. Hahn, are you questioning my judgment? Or are you trying to interfere with Vortex? We signed a non-interference agreement under official witness back then. That's the foundation of the cooperation between Vortex and Dingley. The people in the technical department finally realized what was happening. Their brilliant and capable Justin had actually rejected their goddess KK for a mere tea girl. Almost instantly, the way everyone looked at me changed. Monica, however, didn't care at all. She only glanced at me briefly before focusing on Justin. Calmly and confidently, she said, "It seems you don't know me very well yet. Justin, I'll prove my abilities to you." With that, she turned and left first. Lucas followed her. At the doorway, he paused, glancing back at me. There was unmistakable disdain in his eyes. Just because of Monica, he looked down on me, but I had never thought much of people like him either. Besides, I didn't think someone like me would ever cross paths with him again. If I offended him, so what? Who was I supposed to be afraid of? But the very next night, as I drove to the dry cleaners to pick up some clothes, a man covered in blood rushed out of an alley and blocked my car. A dagger was pressed directly against my throat. Drive. In the rearview mirror, I saw him clearly, and he saw me too. Our eyes met, and for a moment, the air seemed to freeze. He pressed his lips together without speaking, but the dagger never moved an inch from my neck. As soon as the car sped off, several men in black rushed to the mouth of the alley behind us. Even with a dagger at my throat, I drove steadily, all the way to the place he wanted to go. When the car stopped, I saw Joaquin and another group of people. When Joaquin realized I was the one being held hostage, He paused in surprise, then politely said, "Thank you. Yes, thank you. Not an apology. I didn't stand on ceremony," pointing at Lucas, who was being helped out of the car. I said, "Can I hit him?" Joaquin's lips almost curved into a smile. He stepped back and gestured politely. "Be my guest." Lucas's expression changed drastically. "Brother." I didn't give him a chance to ask for help. I threw a punch. And then, well, that was it. Reality proved I wasn't as strong as Monica. I'd heard she could even hold her own in combat sports. My wrist was injured from the impact. It hurt. It really hurt. But I couldn't show it in front of one of Monica's simps. I quietly grabbed my wrist, pretending nothing had happened, nodded to Joaquin, and got back into the car to leave. Lucas looked confused. Was that a scratch just now? His chest felt strangely itchy. Joaquin struggled to keep a straight face. "You can tell she genuinely wanted to hit you. Only, pfft." A few of the men nearby couldn't hold back their laughter. Joaquin turned his head slightly, the corners of his twitching lips barely under control. Chapter 7. The next day. I went to work at Vortex as usual. In the corridor, I ran into Lucas and Joaquin. Lucas turned his face away, pretending not to see me. He seemed to dislike me even more now, probably because of what happened last night when I tried to hit him. Joaquin, on the other hand, acted as if nothing had happened and gave me a slight nod. I returned it. Justin came out of the pantry with a cup of coffee. When he saw Joaquin, he said irritably, "There's no point in you coming." Joaquin smiled. "I'm just here to take a look." Lucas spoke seriously. "We're not here to get you to pull strings." He raised his hand and checked the time on his watch. "You have 10 minutes to prepare." "What are you talking about?" At that moment, someone ran over. "KK has declared a challenge against Vortex." Lucas said nothing. He glanced at Justin, then at me, his eyes filled with provocation and a cold sneer. As he passed by me, he deliberately lowered his voice to mock. "So what if you've latched onto Justin? See that? Monica's attack and defense platform is Arnix, law group's Arnix." Justin's fists clenched instantly. I replied calmly, "So what?" Lucas froze for a moment. Joaquin slapped Lucas on the back. "Watch if you want. If not, get lost." Lucas chose to keep quiet. Justin immediately called Cameron and 2 key members of the cybersecurity team into the office. Several top-tier professional laptops were lined up in a row, and the 3 of them took their positions. Cameron was a genius. Justin had discovered him at the SKP attack and defense competition when he was only 16. But even he had no confidence in beating KK. "Boss, it's not too late to apologize to KK now." When Cameron said this, his gaze deliberately flicked toward me. I knew that over the past couple of days, they had been gossiping behind my back. They thought Justin was out of his mind, abandoning their goddess KK for a T-girl like me who couldn't even survive in the law group. Justin didn't bother arguing. "We won't lose." Cameron swallowed his frustration. Using Arnix as her platform, Monica's declaration of war against Vortex spread across the internet within 10 minutes, fueled by those with ulterior motives. I didn't know whether this was Lucas's doing or Gabriel's, but clearly, they were both trying to use this battle to boost Monica's reputation upon her return. The defensive system that Cameron and the 2 technical experts hastily set up didn't even last 10 minutes against Monica's attack. Vortex collapsed across the board. The servers were nearly paralyzed. Lucas sneered. "Looks like I should go buy some drinks to celebrate Monica's victory." "Excuse me." He left in a carefree yet mocking manner. Cameron looked somewhat annoyed. I did my best. With his ability, he shouldn't have lost so quickly, but he simply couldn't stand Justin driving away his goddess KK for the sake of a T-girl. Justin deserved to be taught a lesson. Justin saw through everyone's thoughts. Yet he wasn't anxious at all. Instead, he turned to me and asked, "Want to warm up a bit?" Joaquin, who had stayed behind to observe, paused slightly as he lifted his teacup. Chapter 8. I knew Justin wanted to help me establish authority, so I didn't refuse his goodwill. Then, let me give it a try. Under everyone's shocked and doubtful gazes, I took the laptop from Cameron. The counterattack went smoothly. In the same 10 minutes, the defenses of Arnix began to collapse. I could even feel Monica struggling on the other side. Everyone present was stunned, except for Justin. All of them looked at me in disbelief. "Boss Justin, this Cameron felt his lips trembling. He admired strength. KK was strong, so he admired her and treated her like a goddess. He had joined Vortex because of Lin. Even if he might never meet that person, he was still willing to stay. Otherwise, when KK was turned away, he might have already resigned. But now, a T-girl had actually defeated his goddess KK? Justin let out a cold laugh. In our line of work, it's not about who's more famous, it's about who's stronger. This isn't about being some internet celebrity who just knows how to attract attention. Monica did have real skills. It wasn't fair to say she was just about hype. Cameron and the two technical experts immediately felt deeply ashamed. Arnix. Is Justin stepping in? No wonder, he's a 3-time SKP champion. We can't beat him. Miss Zhao. What do we do? The crowd of supporters began to give up. Beads of sweat appeared on Monica Zhao's forehead. Justin had once been an SKP champion. So had she. But to be precise, while Justin had struggled to win his championship, for her, it had come easily. She had every reason to be proud, but what was happening today? Monica's face turned pale, clearly exhausted. At that moment, Gabriel, who had been watching, took over her keyboard. I'll handle it, Vortex. I could clearly feel that my opponent had become stronger. After a few exchanges, I realized who it was. My fingers began flying across the keyboard like after images. She's getting serious. Justin let out a soft sigh with a smile. Cameron and the others were stunned. Getting serious? The person who had just crushed all of them had been broken through so easily, and you're saying she wasn't even serious before? Joaquin took a sip of the now cold tea in his hand. Trying to steady himself, the fierce attacks came one after another. Overwhelming. Hacking wasn't even my strongest skill. I wasn't even sure if the current me could beat Gabriel. My injured wrist from last night began to ache faintly, but I didn't want to lose. I couldn't lose. Arnix. Seeing the familiar attack pattern, Gabriel suddenly smiled. When he once again noticed that subtle delay, those few hundredths of a second that didn't quite match, he stopped. I lost. Almost the moment his words fell, Arnix was breached. Its defenses completely collapsing. Is Justin really that strong? With so many of us, we couldn't even hold him off for half an hour. Present Law is already incredible. He held against that kind of attack for 20 minutes. Monica's eyes reddened. I'm sorry, I underestimated Justin. Gabriel didn't correct her. He gently ruffled her hair. It's my fault for not protecting you. Monica looked up at him, her gaze overflowing with emotion. Out of all her suitors, choosing him had been the right decision. Lucas had just brought wine upstairs to celebrate Monica when he saw the scene. His mind exploded. The SKP Attack and Defense competition had been founded 10 years ago by Gabriel and Lin. Back then, even Justin hadn't been able to defeat Gabriel, only Lin had managed to fight him to a draw. Could it be? Lin has appeared? Lucas dropped the wine and rushed downstairs. His mind roared with one thought. Lin has appeared. The person I've been searching for 10 years has finally shown up. He ran several red lights on the way back to Vortex, but he didn't see Lin. He only saw Joaquin, Justin, and the others walking out of the office. His gaze swept across every face, lingering on each for a few seconds, except mine, which he skipped over entirely, not finding anyone who looked like Lin. He grew anxious. Is it Lin? Was it Lin? Everyone looked at him as if he were an idiot. They had all just been forced to sign a confidentiality agreement. What did he think? Justin rolled his eyes at him and directly took me into the office. Lucas grabbed Cameron. He knew Cameron had also joined Vortex because of Lin. Where is Lin? Have you seen her? Cameron pried his hand off. Mr. Han, please respect yourself. There is no Lin today. It was Justin who made the move. After saying that, he eagerly tried to follow into the executive office, but Justin drove him out. Joaquin patted Lucas on the shoulder. What are you trying to do? Lin's identity is protected at the highest level. Do you want me to invite you in for questioning? Lucas was speechless. Chapter 9. Inside the office. I felt nothing but exhaustion. Justin thoughtfully handed me a glass of water. Was it Gabriel? I nodded. Justin was furious. That guy must be blind, protecting a homewrecker like that. I rubbed my aching wrist and shook my head with a faint smile. I'm a bit tired. Can I leave early? Seeing how pale I looked, Justin grew worried. Want me to drive you home? I refused his offer. Although Vortex had won, it had just been breached. He needed to stay and manage things. After getting into my car, I didn't even have the strength to start the engine. It felt like something was lodged deep in my chest. Ugh. I rushed to a trash can and emptied my stomach. A tissue and a bottle of water were handed to me. It was Joaquin Han. I had intended to refuse, but after a moment, I accepted them. Want me to drive you? All right. This time, I didn't refuse. As the car drove off, I didn't tell Joaquin my address, but his direction was perfectly accurate. That didn't surprise me at all. It was exactly how someone from a family like his would operate. The entire ride, Joaquin didn't speak. It would be a lie to say I wasn't uneasy. His status alone was enough to make anyone feel that way. When the car stopped at the entrance of my neighborhood, I spoke first. What happened last night, I won't tell anyone. Last night? Joaquin paused for a moment before recalling Lucas's incident. If I really wanted to silence you, you wouldn't still be here. I was speechless. Is this how the powerful think? I was already feeling unwell, and now the dizziness and nausea worsened. If there's nothing else, I'll go. I opened the door and got out. Joaquin handed me a business card. Our military needs talent in AI. Think about it. I took the card. All right. Joaquin was left speechless. For some reason, even though I accepted the card, he still felt like he had been rejected. Half asleep, Andy called me. I didn't pick up. Less than 10 minutes later, Gabriel called. I still didn't answer. Soon after, a message popped up. Andy misses you. If you don't answer, I'll bring him to you. With no other choice, I took a taxi back to the villa. Andy ran over and hugged my legs. Mom, where did you go? Andy missed you so much. His big watery eyes looked up at me, his legs kicking as he tried to climb into my arms. But this time, I ignored him. I didn't pick him up. Gabriel came out of the kitchen, holding 2 bowls of plain noodles. I frowned slightly. Where's the nanny? Gabriel smiled helplessly. She took a day off. I don't want a nanny, I want Mom. How could a nanny ever take care of him as thoughtfully as his mother? Andy burst into tears, kicking his legs even harder, trying to climb onto me. I sighed, enduring the pain in my wrist. I finally picked him up. Gabriel glanced at me. Have you eaten? I didn't feel like answering. He placed a bowl of noodles in front of me. The sight of it made me feel like throwing up again. Then the phone rang. It was the special ringtone Gabriel had set for Monica. Andy's ears perked up instantly, even forgetting to cry. He rested his little head on my shoulder, watching as Gabriel stepped outside to answer the call. I vaguely heard Gabriel ask, "Do you like it?" About 10 minutes later, Gabriel returned. "I need to go out. Andy's with you." Andy immediately slid off me. "I'll see Dad off." He ran after Gabriel. Gabriel picked him up and said something. I didn't hear what, but Andy reluctantly nodded before running back to me. I pretended not to notice his desire to follow Gabriel to meet Monica. I went to cook noodles again. Mom, I want your fried sauce noodles. Andy followed behind me like a little tail. Before, I would have found moments like this happy and fulfilled every one of his requests. But now, if Monica weren't busy going on a date with Gabriel, he probably wouldn't even remember me. I patted his head. Another day. Mom's tired today. After eating with Andy, giving him a bath, and reading him a bedtime story, I finally managed to coax him to sleep. Just then, a message from Justin popped up. Have you seen Monica's Weibo? I didn't want to look, but my hand moved anyway. KK, the hacker who had never revealed anything about her personal life online, had posted a photo today. A presidential suite, rose petals covering the floor, a heart shape made of roses on the bed, a diamond necklace placed beside it, and at the edge of the frame, a lace nightgown. The caption was just one sentence. I love it. Thank you. So that was what he meant by "Do you like it?" Chapter 10. Monica even had mentioned Gabriel's official account, and it seemed that the very first like and comment came from Gabriel Law. The comment section instantly exploded. KK Goddess's boyfriend is actually the CEO of Law Group? President Law spoils her too much. No wonder he lets KK play with our Nicks. I ship them so hard. Mom, I believe in love again. Justin let out a cold scoff. Just a few hours ago, they were being attacked online for losing to us, and now the whole comment section is full of gossip and scandals. Never thought that one day, the so-called hacker goddess KK would have to rely on romance rumors to shift attention and stay in the headlines. And Gabriel is actually playing along. Justin suddenly realized that saying this to someone like me, someone who had been married to Gabriel for 5 years without ever being acknowledged, was a bit too much. He cleared his throat. Does this count as them going public? You two haven't officially finalized the divorce yet, right? I didn't know whether it was the overly vivid roses or the lace nightgown that stung my eyes, but a sharp pain shot through them. Not long after, I developed a fever, drifting in and out of consciousness. When I woke up, dawn had already broken. I didn't know when I had been moved from Andy's room to the master bedroom. A warm, steady embrace wrapped around me, comfortable, gentle. The moment I stirred, Gabriel woke up. His hand immediately came up to my forehead. Good, the fever's gone. Instinctively, I tried to pull away from his embrace. Gabriel let go and smiled. I've already showered, several times. I was speechless. I wasn't bothered by whether he had showered, I was disgusted by the fact that he carried another woman's presence with him. And at that moment, I really wanted to curse. Gabriel sat up, took my wrist, and replaced the medicated patch. Only then did I realize there had already been one on my wrist, and the swelling pain had eased quite a bit. I knew exactly what medicine we had at home, and there was definitely no such patch. Don't tell me he had bought it in between his date with Monica last night? Honestly, what do you want to eat? I'll make it. That was just like him, pushing me into the depths, then tossing down a rope as if to save me. But this time, I wouldn't grab onto it anymore. I looked up at him. When are we going to the Civil Affairs Bureau? Gabriel paused slightly. When I have time. When will that be? My voice rose without me realizing it. You've already gone public with her. What are you still dragging me along for? Am I just some part of your love game? Gabriel looked at me gently. I'll try, at the latest, next week. I didn't respond. After washing up, I left. Gabriel leaned against the doorway, watching the direction I left in until Andy woke up. Where's Mom? Mom went to work. Gabriel turned back, his neck a little stiff. He raised his hand to rub it. Andy seemed to have received good news. He quickly grabbed his tablet and video called Monica. When Mom was around, he wouldn't dare video chat with Aunt Monica. Aunt Monica, Andy misses you. Gabriel simply watched, waiting until they finished talking. You like Aunt Monica so much, aren't you afraid Mom might not want you anymore? Andy blinked his innocent, wide eyes. Mom gave birth to Andy. How could Mom not want Andy? Gabriel smiled. Chapter 11. Because of that cyber battle, the conflict between Vortex and Arnix blew up all over the internet. Gabriel personally stepped in and proposed a collaboration with Vortex to calm public opinion. If it could be achieved, it would be a win-win situation. Justin asked for my opinion. I hold shares in both Vortex and the Hua Group. What do you think? In business, there was no need to let personal grudges get in the way. Both sides quickly reached a cooperation agreement. On the day of the signing, Gabriel hosted a banquet. Justin and I had just arrived when Gabriel and Monica showed up as well. Monica didn't belong to the law group, nor to Arnix. No matter how you looked at it, her presence lacked a proper standing. It was obvious Gabriel had brought her along to build connections. She acts like some independent, powerful woman, but in the end, she's still relying on a man to climb up. Justin practically rolled his eyes into the sky. He had probably forgotten that he himself had once tried to recruit KK into Vortex. I just smiled and said nothing. If so many men were willing to be used by her, going out of their way to pave connections for her, wasn't that a kind of charm in itself? President Law and Miss Zhao look so perfect together, a female employee gushed. I couldn't help glancing over. Gabriel was wearing a gray suit today. I had customized that outfit for him a few months ago. In fact, over the years, I had been the one taking care of all his clothing. Monica Zhao wore a red strapless evening gown, her hair elegantly pinned up, playful yet spirited. Standing together, they really did look well matched. As if sensing something, Gabriel looked in my direction. I turned my gaze away. Gabriel smiled faintly, unconcerned, and looked away as well. Monica also glanced over. Justin and Alicia seem quite close. I heard they're dating. They're not, Gabriel replied. Monica studied his expression carefully, but seeing no trace of concern, she smiled as well. I heard Miss Zhao's outfit is worth millions, specially customized by President Law. President Law really spoils Miss Zhao endlessly. A few employees chattered beside us. Justin's face turned completely dark. If you have nothing to say, don't speak at all. The employees were speechless. What's gotten into the boss now? I casually picked up a glass of wine and handed it to Justin, trying to calm him. It's not worth it. Lucas and Joaquin, the Han brothers, also arrived. Lucas went straight toward Gabriel and Monica. Joaquin, however, nodded to Gabriel before walking over to us. The 3 days I gave you have passed. Since I didn't get your reply, I came myself. Only then did I remember his invitation to join the military. Sorry. I had genuinely forgotten about it. Of course, I hadn't planned to go anyway. Anyone connected to Monica, I preferred to avoid. I had already been hurt enough by betrayal. Joaquin seemed to have expected this. It's fine, you don't have to decide right away. Coincidentally, I have a shooting range that needs an intelligent control system. Would you be interested in collaborating first? The price is negotiable. Joaquin's gaze was sincere. With that level of sincerity, refusing again would seem somewhat ungracious. All right, but that was all it meant. Joaquin seemed slightly surprised by how readily I agreed, but he still smiled and extended his hand. Then, I look forward to working together. I reached out as well. Likewise. Gabriel's gaze drifted toward me again. This time, it lingered for 0.1 seconds longer. Chapter 12. Don't tell me young Master Joaquin is interested in Alicia? Monica also noticed what was happening over there and deliberately asked Lucas. Lucas almost burst out laughing. A woman who tried to hit someone and ended up injuring her own hand? My brother wouldn't be interested in that. He admires strength. He looked at Monica meaningfully. Monica smiled, seemingly unconcerned. Instead, she asked what had happened when Alicia tried to hit him. At the mention of that incident, Lucas's disdain was obvious. That's what happened. I didn't even do anything to her. It was just holding a dagger to her, right? She wanted to punch me to vent her anger. I let it go, but in the end, she hurt her own hand with that one punch. Isn't that ridiculous? Monica indeed laughed. Lucas subconsciously rubbed the spot where he had been hit. That soft, almost boneless touch still felt strange to him even now. He couldn't help but recount Alicia's awkward moment in even greater detail. Just as he was getting into it, he suddenly felt a chill down his back. He turned around and met Gabriel's gaze. Gabriel held a glass of wine, sipping slowly, smiling as he listened. Lucas hesitated. Was that just my imagination? Gabriel waited until Lucas finished speaking, then asked Monica, "Do you still want to learn Lin's algorithm?" Monica frowned. Gabriel, I don't want to rely on others. You don't need to interfere in this. Gabriel took her hand and gave it a gentle squeeze, smiling softly. Am I considered others? Monica's cheeks flushed instantly. Lucas felt like he had just been force-fed a whole serving of PDA and spat inwardly. Gabriel then brought Monica over to Justin, getting straight to the point. I can give up 10% of the profits. I only have one condition, let Monica handle the technical coordination with Vortex. I said nothing, simply taking a sip of my wine. Not possible. Justin didn't hide his disgust toward Monica at all. Not only that, Monica is not allowed to be involved in any cooperation between Vortex and Arnix. If you can't agree to that, we'll terminate the partnership immediately. Monica's eyes reddened with anger. Justin, I don't think I've offended you. Is this really necessary? Gabriel squeezed her hand, not angry at all. Instead, he glanced at me and asked Justin, "Are you sure?" Justin was furious. "I'm absolutely sure. Do you want to terminate the contract?" The raised voices immediately drew everyone's attention. Gabriel pulled Monica into his arms. "Tomorrow, I'll have someone handle the termination process. A cooperation project worth billions, just gone like that?" Both sides, who had been celebrating the partnership moments ago, were stunned. President Law dotes on Miss Zhao, but there's no need to gamble Aronix's future like this, right? I sipped my wine, the taste bitter in my throat. For Monica's sake, Had Gabriel already blurred the line between business and personal matters? Suddenly, I remembered a few months ago when I had gone to work with a high fever, and someone deliberately made things difficult for me. I couldn't even get time off. Abigail had said I either endure it or resign. Joel had happened to be there. I didn't believe he hadn't mentioned it to Gabriel. But Gabriel had never once asked about it. That was probably the difference between being loved and not being loved. Chapter 13. Because of the termination, things inside Arnix became quite chaotic. But it had nothing to do with Vortex. Although Vortex lost the contract, it received a substantial compensation fee. The next day, the divorce lawyer arrived, earlier than I had expected. The lawyer carefully explained the division of assets to me in detail. Justin even did a rough calculation. Altogether, it's over 10 billion. I guess Gabriel still has some conscience. Before his words had even faded, news suddenly broke online. Arnix had changed ownership. Gabriel had directly handed over the company, worth hundreds of billions, to Monica. On the surface, it was said to give Monica a platform to fully utilize her talents. In reality, it was a direct slap at Justin for repeatedly rejecting her. Gabriel was backing her up publicly. Damn, what a beast! Justin exploded in anger. Only then did I understand why the divorce lawyer had come so quickly. It was to finalize the asset division so that Arnix could be transferred without delay. Gabriel called me. Are you free this afternoon? By the time we arrived at the Civil Affairs Bureau, a light drizzle had begun to fall. I hadn't brought an umbrella. As I pushed open the car door, an umbrella was already opened above my head. Gabriel's tall figure shielded me from the slanting wind and rain. Thank you. We were polite. Distant, no arguments. No resentment. The staff member who had intended to persuade us to reconsider ended up saying nothing at all. We'll collect the divorce certificate in a month, Gabriel said. I nodded. Do you want to come home for dinner? Andy misses you. I looked up. 10 days. What? For 10 days straight. He hasn't called me once. Sometimes. I really wondered if Gabriel pitied me. Abandoned by my husband. Rejected by the son I carried for 10 months. Gabriel said nothing more. Nor did he stay. Monica was calling him to dinner. He placed the umbrella into my hands and walked alone into the rain. Getting into his car, I recognized the umbrella too. It had been custom-made last rainy season to match his outfits. I casually threw it into a trash bin. When I looked up, I met Gabriel's gaze. He sat in the car, as if he wanted to say something, but when he saw what I had done, he simply smiled and drove away. Those things meant nothing to him, so why should they matter to me? I didn't drive. I walked alone into the misty rain. 5 years. From being alone, to having a family I cherished deeply, and now, like a stray with no home, it felt as if something inside my chest had been hollowed out. Without realizing it, I arrived at Andy's kindergarten. Gabriel and Monica stood side by side at the entrance. The teacher brought Andy out, and he ran happily into their arms. Monica picked him up, while Gabriel held up an umbrella, shielding them from all the wind and rain. In a daze, I realized Gabriel had never come with me to pick Andy up. After my divorce with him, Andy finally seemed to have a complete family outside. Maybe this was for the best. I turned and left. Andy suddenly looked toward the street. He thought he had just seen Mom. He glanced at his watch. How long has it been since Mom last called me? Before, she would call several times a day. It had been annoying. But now, it felt like something was missing. Still, it didn't matter. He had Aunt Monica now. And besides, Mom would always be Mom. She would come back for him sooner or later. The rain grew heavier. Only when I felt drops sliding down my forehead did I realize. Alicia! I turned. It was Joaquin. He stopped his car and walked toward me through the rain. I snapped back to myself. Mr. Hahn. The drizzle blurred my vision. I couldn't clearly see his face. He grabbed my wrist. Get in the car first. Joaquin took me to a shooting range he owned. There were quite a few people there at night. He led me to the changing room. If you don't mind, you can change into something else. It's brand new, never been used. I thanked him. When I came out after changing, milk tea, coffee, green tea were all lined up neatly on the table. I'm a rough guy. I don't really know what you girls like to drink. Suddenly, I remembered my first date with Gabriel. Back then, Andy had just turned 1. Gabriel had taken me to a movie. When I came out of the restroom, there had also been a table full of drinks like this. He had said the same thing. I didn't know what you'd like. I had noticed that only the green tea came in 2 servings. So that time, I chose the green tea. Could I just have a glass of water? I asked. Without hesitation, Joaquin handed me a cup of warm water. Chapter 14. The warm water slid down my throat, bringing a bit of warmth back to my body. Am I the kind of person who's just dull and flavorless? I turned the cup in my hand and laughed at myself. Look, even the water I drink is this tasteless. Joaquin didn't answer. Instead, he stood up and smiled as he invited me. Since you're here, why not take a look around my shooting range? I'm still counting on you to help improve the system. After visiting several areas, I realized that many of the staff weren't physically whole. They used to serve under you? Joaquin nodded. All retired soldiers. They suffered injuries during missions. I thought to myself, this intelligent shooting training system was something I could help him with after all. We talked until late into the night. When Joaquin drove me home, he suddenly said as I got out of the car, actually, plain water nourishes the body the most, and it's not flavorless. In fact, it's quite pure and rich. He waved at me and drove off. Over the next 20 days, I moved back and forth between Vortex and the shooting range. Joaquin wasn't there every day. On the final day of system testing, I contacted him myself. Joaquin said, perfect timing, I'll be there tomorrow too. Want to grab a meal together? I didn't refuse. Early the next morning, I arrived, and a veteran led me inside for the final testing. As we passed Joaquin's private shooting area, I saw Monica. This Miss Zhao is incredible. She made it from Hall F all the way to Hall A in just 2 hours. This is Boss Joaquin's private S-Hall. Usually only top soldiers are qualified to compete with him here. This is the first time a woman has stepped inside. There was clear admiration in the veteran's eyes. Inside the range, Joaquin looked at Monica with the same admiration, just like the way Gabriel had looked at her when he first saw her on the racetrack years ago. I only glanced once before saying, let's go. By noon, the testing was complete. Joaquin and Monica also came out of the shooting room. Mr. Han, happy working together. Monica extended her hand. Joaquin shook it. Likewise. Whatever deal they had reached, the atmosphere between them was very harmonious. Monica turned and saw me, giving a slight nod. There was a trace of arrogance, pride, and that familiar dismissiveness in her expression. Joaquin walked over. I handed him the testing report. He signed it and returned it to me. Thank you for your hard work. What would you like to eat for lunch? Thank you, but I have something to attend to. Joaquin was slightly taken aback, clearly not expecting to be refused. I handed him another card. If there are any issues with the system, feel free to contact us anytime. Joaquin accepted it. It was a business card from the technical department, not my personal one. He seemed to understand something and smiled. All right. I nodded, having nothing more to say, and left directly. Joaquin walked me to the entrance. As soon as my car disappeared, he took out his phone and called Lucas. What exactly is going on between Alicia and Monica? He hadn't intended to interfere in matters between women, but now. Do you know Monica is with Gabriel? Then do you know who Alicia's husband is? It's Gabriel. Joaquin was stunned. Lucas continued. There's no real conflict between Alicia and Monica. It's just Alicia being jealous and envious, targeting Monica everywhere. Monica has never even taken her seriously. His tone was full of disdain. Joaquin frowned, feeling uncomfortable. If Monica truly didn't care about Alicia, then with Arnix backed by the law group, she had plenty of options for collaboration. Why would she specifically come all the way to his shooting range? And besides, Joaquin didn't believe Alicia would become hostile towards someone just because of a man. Go investigate Alicia's background, he instructed his men. Soon, a detailed report was placed before him. Joaquin's expression turned cold. So that's how it is. On the other side, Monica was still celebrating with others. She was in a great mood today. She had successfully secured Joaquin. When she scored 10 consecutive bullseyes, she knew Joaquin would fall for her just like every other man. Sure enough, the cooperation had been easy to negotiate. She could sign the contract tomorrow. So what if Alicia had Justin? Justin alone couldn't even compare to Lucas, let alone Gabriel and Joaquin. Monica raised her glass boldly. Cheers! Just then, Joaquin's call came through. The deal is off. No apology. No explanation. For the first time, a crack appeared on Monica's usually calm and aloof expression. Chapter 15. That night, Pablo called me on his own initiative. Are you free tomorrow night? Let's have dinner. As my biological brother. How many years had it been since he last contacted me? I was about to refuse when he added. Tomorrow is Mom's Memorial Day. All right. At the agreed time, I arrived at the location. When I pushed open the door, the entire Zhao family was already there. Sam, my father. Pablo, my brother. Linda, my mistress stepmother. And of course, the central figure of the day, Monica. So my own brother had used my mother's Memorial Day to host a gathering for Monica. On Mom's Memorial Day. You invited them? Pablo. Well done. Sam slammed the table. Alicia Zhao. What kind of attitude is that? I go by Alicia Lin now. Boss Zhao. Have you forgotten? 10 years ago, you kicked me out of the Zhao family. I'm not a Zhao anymore. And I'm not your daughter. You have no right to lecture me. Sam was furious. Linda gently patted his back. She's just a child who doesn't know better. Teach her properly. Don't get angry. It's bad for your health. I couldn't even be bothered to watch these people act. I stared straight at Monica. Go ahead. What do you want? Monica didn't answer. Instead, she looked at Pablo. Pablo lifted his chin. I heard you've gotten close to the Han family's eldest son and deliberately sabotaged his cooperation with Monica? So that was Monica's version of the story? And everyone here believed it. I smiled. So what? Monica's project is very important. We're willing to let you join in. That way, you'll stop targeting her, right? And if I refuse? Pablo sneered. Aren't you afraid I'll expose all your dirty secrets to Joaquin? You won't end up well. This was my own brother. For the sake of that vicious mistress and her daughter, the ones who drove our mother to death, he was willing to treat me like this. Who has more dirt to hide isn't certain. Go ahead and try. Let's see who ends up being afraid. Pablo was so angry he nearly jumped up. Monica, just like her mother, gently patted Pablo's back and smoothed things over with a smile. Alicia, you've misunderstood. Originally, Gabriel was going to treat our whole family to dinner tonight to discuss the wedding. My heart was stabbed again without warning. As soon as Monica finished speaking, there was a knock on the door, and Gabriel walked in. When he saw me, he paused slightly. Monica immediately said, Alicia is also part of the Zhao family. It's only right that she's here. It sounded like nothing, and yet, it said everything. I had inexplicably become the clingy ex-wife who couldn't let go. Sam and Linda immediately began fawning over Gabriel. Then my father, Sam, suddenly turned on me. Alicia, now that President Law is here, tell us honestly, what will it take for you to leave Monica alone? I almost laughed from anger. Gabriel and I haven't even finalized the divorce yet. Aren't you afraid I might refuse to collect the certificate and drag this out for years? Make Monica stay a mistress forever, just like her mother? Bang! Pablo slammed the table and stood up. Alicia, do you have to go crazy like Mom did? Pablo, you're disgusting. I couldn't hold back. I grabbed a glass and threw it at him. Blood immediately streamed down Pablo's forehead. Almost at the same time, someone grabbed my wrist. I reacted instantly and slapped him. Gabriel didn't dodge. The slap landed squarely on his face. The entire room fell into dead silence. Gabriel touched his cheek, showing no anger at all. Instead, he looked at me calmly. Monica wants to expand into military connections. Name your price. In that instant, it felt like my mind exploded. My stomach churned violently. I shook him off and stormed out. I bent over by a flower bed and vomited uncontrollably. When I stood up again, everything went black, and I collapsed forward. A pair of strong hands caught me just in time. It was Gabriel. I pushed him away, stumbling again. This time, I fell into another solid, warm embrace. Joaquin. Joaquin blocked Gabriel's outstretched hand, his usually cold expression cracking with anger. Can't you see? Alicia is sick from disgust, because of you and that entire family. He lifted me into his arms and walked away. I didn't look back at Gabriel again. Gabriel's hand hung in the air, empty, for a long moment before he lowered it. Is it him this time? Chapter 16. He murmured softly, a hint of loneliness in his voice. When Monica chased after him, Gabriel was still standing where he was. Gabriel, you don't have to beg. She saw Joaquin, and me in Joaquin's arms. Her voice stopped abruptly. Gabriel snapped back to his senses and gently wrapped an arm around her waist. You should give up on the military side. I can offer you other platforms. Aeronix's autonomous driving technology has great prospects. If you develop it, it won't be any worse than that side. Monica nodded. But deep down, she realized her dependence on Gabriel was growing stronger. That was a very dangerous sign. She had never been the kind of person who would give up an entire forest for a single tree. Nor had she ever been someone's accessory. She could belong to the most outstanding man, but she could never belong to just one man. Whether it was the military or Joaquin, she had to conquer them both. I sat in the car, drinking an entire cup of sour plum soup before I could suppress the churning in my stomach. Joaquin didn't speak. He simply handed me water and tissues. Monica's mother used to be a maid in my house. It was my mom who took pity on them and brought them in. Under the name of hiring her, my dad fell in love with her gentleness and attentiveness, and wanted to divorce my mom. Even my brother tried to persuade her not to stand in the way of their love. My mom was pushed into a corner that day, during a fight with Linda. She was shoved down the stairs by her neck snapped, and she died on the spot. I saw it with my own eyes, but they all said it was an accident, that everything was my mom's fault. Linda killed my mother, yet she faced no punishment. The entire Zhao family even spread rumors everywhere, saying my mom had gone insane, before my mom's body was even cold. That mistress married my father. I paused for a moment, then continued. 10 years ago, Justin and I wanted to host a cybersecurity attack and defense competition. At the first event, I met my strongest rival. Later, I started to develop feelings for him. That person was Gabriel? Joaquin asked. I didn't deny it. Gabriel didn't like me. 5 years ago, I applied for a graduate program under the renowned authority in the field of intelligence systems, Braun. I wanted to use that opportunity to stay away from him and forget him, to help Monica steal that spot. Linda drugged me and sent me to a man's bed. That man was Gabriel too? I nodded. That was an accident. There was no way Linda would be so kind. For some reason, I knew she had originally chosen a violent abuser for me. I even knew that night, a compromising video would have been recorded, and I would have been forced to marry that beast. In the years that followed, no matter how I struggled, I would never have escaped the fate of being beaten to death. And in the end, I would have been slandered as insane, just like my mother, while the Zhao family happily paid off the abuser with a large sum of money. Everyone would have gotten what they wanted. But that wasn't how things actually turned out. That shabby motel, Gabriel should never have been there. Later, Monica became KK, gaining fame both at home and abroad. As for Gabriel and Monica, Gabriel was the one who cheated. I had nothing more to say. So, I looked at Joaquin very seriously. I will not accept any partners who have dealings with the Zhao family or Monica. I hope you understand. Joaquin's gaze was as deep as a dark abyss. After a long while, he said only one word. I'm sorry. I thought this was someone I might be able to work with. Then let's give it a try. The next day, Joaquin, representing the military, personally drafted a written guarantee for me, promising that no one related to Monica or the Zhao family would ever be involved in the project. I joined their drone swarm program. At the same time, I restarted several research projects I had abandoned 5 years ago. On the day Gabriel and I finalized our divorce, I felt unexpectedly calm. In the end, Gabriel said to me, Alicia, goodbye. I turned back and looked at him. Goodbye, Gabriel. The wind brushed past my ears, finally carrying away all the infatuation I once had for him. Chapter 17. It was said that Arnix had launched a new autonomous driving technology project. This project had been in preparation for a long time, and now that Monica had just taken over Arnix and was already leading it, it did feel a bit like she was reaping the rewards without putting in the work. But that had nothing to do with me. The military's drone swarm program, along with several projects in my hands, was already enough to consume all my time. 2 months later, The first project was declared a success. When the project materials were delivered to Dingley, Lucas had just returned from abroad. He was in a terrible mood. Next time, can you verify things before sending me over? He had been searching for Lin for 10 years. 5 years ago, Lin had completely vanished. This time, hearing that Lin might be in country M, he had applied for a flight route overnight and taken a private jet there, only to find it was all for nothing. Just then, his secretary brought over Vortex's project materials from the past 2 months. With just one glance, his mind nearly shut down, because this was the project Lin had left behind 5 years ago, and now it had been restarted. Then he looked at the project lead, Alicia. Suddenly, he recalled the attack and defense competition between Vortex and Arnix. Lucas jumped up as if pricked by a needle. He rushed straight out. Impossible! Absolutely impossible! He shouted, but his steps moved even faster. Just as he got into the car, Monica called. Lucas, I've found Lin. Justin helped Alicia steal Lin's project. Lin needs your help. When I returned to Vortex from the military, I heard from my colleagues that Dingley was going to host a celebration banquet for me. Lucas had used his connections to invite many media figures to attend. Justin didn't want to miss this free publicity opportunity, so he called me into his office to discuss the promotional details. Lucas was there too. He sat upright on the sofa, staring at me coldly. He didn't say a word, but I could clearly feel that his hostility toward me had grown even stronger. While Justin discussed matters with him, Lucas wore a fake smile that didn't reach his eyes. His behavior was strange, yet it was hard to pinpoint exactly what was strange about it. Justin comforted me, saying, "He's probably just unhappy that you stole Monica's spotlight. You know how Monica's simps are, they're all like this." I didn't take it to heart. On the day of the celebration banquet, almost all the prominent figures in the industry were present. I introduced the product according to the schedule, while answering all questions and doubts. The atmosphere in the hall was harmonious and pleasant. Lucas stood outside the crowd the entire time, watching, without making any unusual moves. The climax of the banquet was when he personally presented me with the annual Best Contribution Award. I stood on the stage, watching him walk toward me step by step, and I watched the smile on his face gradually turn into disdain and mockery. "Alicia, for stealing someone else's work, are you ready to accept the consequences?" The doors of the banquet hall were suddenly pushed open. Monica made a dazzling entrance. Along with her came a woman escorted by more than a dozen bodyguards. "She is Lin," Lucas announced loudly. As everyone knows, these research projects were all left behind by Lin 5 years ago. "Justin, for your own selfish interests, you helped Alicia steal Lin's scientific achievements. How do you explain this? Did you think Lin would never come back? Or did you think those little lackeys you sent could silence Lin, so your ignorant little mistress, a mere tea-serving girl, could take her place?" His words struck the ground like thunder, shocking everyone present. Lucas glared at me fiercely. With that single phrase, tea-serving girl mistress, he dragged my reputation through the mud. I knew Lucas was trying to destroy me in one move, to crush me so completely that I would never recover. I glanced at him calmly. In the past, I never understood why Monica's simps held such deep hostility toward me. Even now, I still didn't understand, but I had already grown used to it. Monica watched the show leisurely from the side. "Alicia, do you have anything to say for yourself?" Lucas demanded. My expression remained calm. "I have nothing to say, because there was truly no evidence to prove my identity. Naturally, there was also no evidence to prove that this woman who appeared out of nowhere was the real Lin." Lucas sneered, clearly pleased. "Fine, if you won't talk. There are plenty of ways to make you talk." Chapter 18. Almost the moment his words fell, Joaquin arrived. Along with him came a squad of soldiers, fully armed. They marched into the banquet hall in perfect formation, instantly commanding respect and silencing everyone present. Lucas handed over all the evidence he had gathered to Joaquin. "These are the original materials Lin gave me, identical to Alicia's registered files. And these are the physical and video evidence from when Lin was attacked." Lucas looked at Justin and me coldly, as if we were already dead. After reviewing the evidence, Joaquin curled his lips slightly. "Arrest them." A flash of satisfaction crossed Lucas's face, but that expression lasted less than 2 seconds, because the soldiers didn't seize Justin and me. They arrested Monica and the so-called LIN. Brother, you got the wrong people. Lucas panicked. No mistake. Joaquin handed him another set of documents. Take a good look. Who is the real LIN? After reading them, Lucas's body began to tremble. When he looked at me again, his eyes were filled with fear. Joaquin wasted no time and walked straight to Monica and the imposter. Half a month ago, we received a report that someone was impersonating LIN and attempting to harm her. You too, come with me. Before leaving, he gave me a slight nod across the crowd. Without exposing my identity, Justin patted my shoulder. Let's go too. He threw Lucas a look full of disgust and mockery. Lucas's face turned ashen as he stared at me, but I didn't look at him again. I left with Justin escorting me. With the military involved, the matter escalated significantly. Several spies were even uncovered among Vortex employees. Spies might not be the perfect word. Some people, driven by profit, thought leaking a little information didn't matter. But when there are enough of them, sooner or later someone finds a way to exploit the cracks. From that day on, Lucas came to Vortex every single day, holding a bouquet of flowers. He stood in the lobby downstairs, looking exactly like a lovesick man who couldn't have what he wanted. Justin tried to drive him away several times but failed. I didn't understand what he wanted, nor did I care to know. Eventually, unable to tolerate it anymore, I went to see him. He was so nervous that sweat formed on his forehead. For the first time, I saw panic and helplessness on the face of this usually arrogant young master. I had no patience to waste words on one of Monica's simps, so I got straight to the point. About LIN, I understand your actions. Lucas's eyes lit up with hope. Alicia, I raised a hand to stop him. But you didn't choose to confront me directly. You didn't try to verify things with me. Instead, you gathered industry authorities and all the media, intending to publicly ruin me. Mr. Han, at that moment, you were trying to destroy me, weren't you? And now you act like this. Are you trying to apologize? To seek forgiveness? On what grounds? Or is it that now Monica is the one whose reputation is ruined, and you want to settle that score with me? Lucas was clearly flustered. Alicia, I didn't mean that. I just wanted. I had no patience to listen further and waved him off. If you want to seek so-called justice for Monica, I'll be here anytime. The car Joaquin sent to pick me up for the military had already arrived. I turned and left. The bouquet of roses fell to the ground. Lucas stood there blankly, as if his soul had left his body. Why did it turn out like this? Why? He crouched down, covering his face, looking utterly pitiful. Joaquin only glanced inside briefly, said nothing, and opened the car door for me. The investigation is clear. The mastermind is an overseas force. They had connections with Monica, but it was her mother, Linda, who acted as the intermediary. Monica was merely being used. Linda has been arrested. However, considering that Monica is currently in charge of highly valuable autonomous driving technology, and that Gabriel submitted several important projects as guarantees for her, the higher-ups decided to let her off this time. I nodded. At least the person who killed my mother had been brought to justice. As for Monica, it wasn't surprising that she managed to get out of it, because Gabriel would never let anything happen to her, no matter what. He would protect her. When we arrived at the entrance of the military facility, Gabriel was just escorting Monica out. After being detained for several days, Monica's eyes were sunken, her face pale. When she saw me, she looked as if she had seen a monster. You're LIN? I answered calmly. I'm not. Her face twisted, her teeth clenched slightly, as if she had been deeply humiliated. Gabriel gently stroked her back. It's time to go home. Gabriel nodded at Joaquin and me, then led Monica away. Chapter 19. This was probably what true love looked like. No matter what Monica became, he was willing to stay by her side and protect her. Joaquin opened the gates of the military compound for me and, for once, said an extra word. Don't be sad over someone who isn't worth it. You deserve the best this world has to offer. I was slightly taken aback. Then I smiled. Thank you. I heard that the spy incident had dealt Monica a heavy blow. She began devoting herself entirely to autonomous driving technology, and the Zhao family became Aronix's largest partner. As expected of a prodigy with countless hidden identities, Her autonomous driving technology was launched very quickly. That day, the internet was flooded with Aronix's promotional releases. Monica stood together with the Zhao family, sharing in that moment of glory. But not long after the autonomous vehicles went live, accidents began happening frequently. Aronix soon faced massive compensation claims and was on the brink of bankruptcy. The Zhao family was dragged into the abyss along with it. Negative news poured in from all directions. Once again, Gabriel stepped forward to shield Monica. That day, he announced their engagement. Monica immediately shared the news as well. Now, her social media, once an electrifying hub for hacking content, had turned into a space showcasing her romance with Gabriel. Even Cameron had unfollowed her, but she still had plenty of brainless fans. They swarmed in, flooding the screen with blessings. This Gabriel really is. Even Justin didn't know how to curse him anymore. There were criticisms and complaints online, but even more people envied the fairy tale love between Gabriel and Monica. At that moment, I suddenly felt at peace. Monica isn't in a good mood. I'm taking her abroad for a vacation. Can you take care of Andy for a few days? This was the first time Gabriel had contacted me since the divorce. This time, I didn't refuse. As his mother, it was my responsibility to care for him. For once, I didn't work overtime. I went to pick him up from kindergarten. Andy was arguing with a few children. Andy, you have a stepmom now? My mom says stepmoms hit people and won't give you food. They'll even take all your money and leave you homeless. Andy's little face flushed red with anger. Aunt Monica wouldn't do that. Aunt Monica is the best. She's even better than Mom. Andy, your mom is here. Andy turned his head sharply and saw me. His eyes were filled with shock. His lips moved slightly, but he suddenly didn't know what to say to me. I smiled and reached out my hand. Andy, let's go home. Andy walked over on his short little legs, carefully taking my hand. I didn't look at him. I only looked ahead, at the road, at the distant clouds. For the last time, I made his favorite noodles with meat sauce. For the last time, I read him a bedtime story. For the last time, I kissed his forehead and said goodnight. Then I stood up and left without hesitation. Mom! Andy hadn't fallen asleep. He ran after me. I opened the car door and turned back to look at him. Under the light, his face was filled with panic and fear. I waved at him, smiling as gently as ever. Andy burst into tears. Mom, are you abandoning me? I kept my gentle smile, but didn't say a single word in reply. I got into the car, started the engine, and turned the vehicle around. Mom, Mom! His heart-wrenching cries tore through the night, but my heart remained unmoved. Chapter 20. I heard that after returning from their vacation, Gabriel and Monica held their wedding. I heard Andy kept crying for his mother, but I had already blocked him. I didn't attend the wedding. I was busy working on the military's drone swarm project. Joaquin assigned many people to protect me, but as the project neared completion, I was still attacked. A car crashed into mine, leaving me with a severe concussion. In the moment before I lost consciousness, I saw several men in black pulling out daggers. I thought my life would end there, but a familiar tall figure blocked all the attacks. Gabriel! When I woke up, I was already lying in a hospital bed, but the one by my side was Joaquin. Joaquin held my hand, his beard almost covering his once perfectly handsome face. I thought of that figure who had fought for me, drenched in blood. Why, at the very end of my life, did I still hope that person would be Gabriel? He would never appear, because at this moment, he should be on the other side of the world, on his honeymoon with Monica. Had I become this hopeless? Even now, I still couldn't let go of him. Looking at Joaquin's sunken eyes, for some inexplicable reason, I asked, Joaquin, would you marry me? Joaquin's face seemed frozen. His grip on my hand tightened. The pain in my wrist made me realize my overstep. I was joking. Before I could finish, he cut me off. I'm willing. I stayed in the hospital for half a month. On the day I was discharged, I asked him, how are your injuries? That day, even though I was dazed, I still saw a blade pierce him. Joaquin froze for a moment. Just a minor injury. It's already healed. What I didn't know was that very night, Joaquin returned to the hospital. He walked into a VIP ward and looked at the man who had been stabbed over a dozen times, barely surviving. Gabriel, what are you thinking? Gabriel, who do you really love? That day, when Joaquin arrived, Gabriel had already lost the ability to fight. He saw him holding Alicia tightly, using his own body to block every attack. Before losing consciousness, the last thing he said was, "Don't tell her." Even in his coma, there was no pain on his face, only satisfaction and happiness. As if he had finally protected the most important thing to him. Joaquin refused to believe it, refused to believe that Gabriel didn't love Alicia. But if he did love her, why be with Monica? Why hurt her like that? For the first time, Joaquin couldn't hide his anger in front of someone else. Gabriel only looked at him with a faint smile. "Does it matter?" Joaquin replied. "To me, it matters." Gabriel's expression turned desolate. "Joaquin, do you believe in rebirth?" Chapter Gabriel's perspective. Last night, I had another nightmare. I dreamed of that girl, confidently issuing me a challenge. "Gabriel, want to compete with me? If you win, I'll do something for you. If I win, you agree to one condition." She was as bright as the warm spring sun. At that hacker attack and defense competition, she lost. She said she would catch up to me in 5 years. She didn't just catch up, she surpassed ordinary people with her extraordinary talent. She pursued me for 5 years, and I rejected her for 5 years. The last time, she said she was leaving to a place where I didn't exist. At that moment, I didn't know why my heart hurt so much, but my pride as a man wouldn't let me say a single word to make her stay. We didn't see each other again for 2 years. She completely disappeared from my world. I thought, maybe that was for the best. Her feelings for me had been too intense. As for me, I might have liked her a little, but nowhere near as much as she loved me. It wasn't equal. Maybe it was better if she forgot me, but I never imagined that when I saw her again, she would have become like that. During those 2 years after she left, I went abroad, to the place she once said she would study. I didn't run into her, but I met another girl who looked strikingly like her. That girl was Monica. When she stood on the competition stage, the rebellious look in her eyes reminded me so much of Alicia. Before long, we were already talking about marriage. I went to meet Monica's family. In that private room, I saw Alicia again. Beside her sat a crude man. His face was greasy with fat, and even while eating, oil dripped from his mouth. And she, when she greeted me, only showed a pale smile. As if we had never known each other. The once brilliant girl had been worn down by married life, losing all her radiance, like a withered white flower branch, quietly waiting to fade away. Chapter 21. At that moment, I felt as if I couldn't breathe. Yet Monica said that they were deeply in love. As if to prove her words, that man pulled her into his arms and kissed her passionately in front of everyone. She didn't avoid it. Instead, she tilted her head slightly and looked at me quietly, with a smile I couldn't understand on her face. That smile once became my nightmare. That family banquet left a huge psychological impact on me. Instinctively, I avoided any possibility of seeing her again. The next time we met, it was already at her funeral. The Zhao family said she had gone insane, fought with her husband, and was killed in self-defense. The Zhao family even paid that man a large sum of money. But in the photos from a private investigator, I saw her fingers broken one by one, flesh cut from her body, her eyes gouged out in rage. Yet everyone said she was crazy, and that scumbag had acted in self-defense. My heart bled. Why didn't she ask me for help? At that moment, I finally seemed to understand the meaning of that smile. The man she had once admired so deeply had fallen in love with her enemy and stood completely on the opposite side of her. That day, I was suddenly reborn. I returned to the day her stepmother sent her to that scumbag's bed. I was overwhelmed with joy and completely at a loss. I replaced that scumbag and became her husband. I tried to give her everything in the world, to make up for all the suffering she had endured. I thought I could change her fate, but her tragedy had never been because of that abusive man, it was because of Monica. As long as Monica existed, she would be pushed step by step into the abyss. Every time, Monica, with her irresistible charm, would invade her world, stealing all her opportunities, and even taking away the people closest to her, the ones she trusted most. She was like a side character in a story where the beloved female lead rises to the top, nothing more than a stepping stone for the chosen one protagonist to climb over. Every time. She never lived past 28. I witnessed countless strange and tragic ways she died. As long as she had anything to do with me, as long as Monica still had any desire to compete with her, she could never escape. I knew I was running out of chances. I had no choice but to let go. But making her give up on me wasn't easy. She hated Monica, so I treated Monica like a princess, ensuring Monica would no longer feel any jealousy toward her. She hated the Zhao family, so I treated them like my own, caring for them as if they were family. She couldn't let go of Andy, so I made Andy grow closer to Monica. Several times, she gave me that smile again, and in the end, she truly gave up. That day, I cooked her a bowl of plain noodle soup. She once said it was her favorite. Even my grandmother, who loved me the most, couldn't bring herself to say she liked that dish, but she had always eaten it with such enjoyment. But that day, she only felt disgust. She had truly begun to hate me. After so many lifetimes, she finally hated me. She was finally letting go. I should have been happy. But why did my heart hurt so much? Chapter 22. That day, Joaquin heard a story that sounded almost fantastical. He knew Gabriel had left many things unsaid. He didn't believe in past lives or reincarnation. Yet he still couldn't help asking, in all those lifetimes you experienced, what kind of person was I? Did I ever hurt her like the others did? If he hadn't known she was Lin, if he had also been influenced by Monica, just like the admiration he once felt for her at the shooting range, how would he have treated Alicia? Gabriel looked at him and smiled. The smile was as gentle as a spring breeze. Yet Joaquin felt his heart being tightened, bit by bit. Suddenly, Joaquin didn't want to know the answer anymore. As he was leaving, Gabriel suddenly said, "Although you never took her life." Joaquin nearly lost his footing. So all those others had killed her? His fists clenched so tightly his nails nearly dug into his flesh. I saw Joaquin downstairs at the company. It was raining. He stood alone in the curtain of rain, like a man who had lost his soul. "Joaquin!" He lifted his gaze and looked at me. At last, there was life in his eyes again, a little worried. I raised my umbrella over his head. He was a head taller than me, and lifting my arm took some effort. He took the umbrella from me and smiled. "What do you feel like eating?" "Delicacies from land and sea, the ends of the earth. Even through fire and blades, whatever you want. I'll go with you." I burst out laughing. "I might think you're proposing." Joaquin immediately dropped to one knee. "Alicia, will you marry me?" In his deep eyes lay a pain I couldn't fully comprehend. I didn't understand it, but I could see his sincerity and determination. At 29, I married Joaquin. Gabriel and Monica also attended the wedding. Gabriel brought an abundance of gifts. The list alone took up an entire page. Someone joked that Gabriel didn't look like he was attending his ex-wife's wedding, but rather like a father sending off his daughter. Monica had changed a lot over the past 2 years. Perhaps the repeated confrontations had left psychological scars. Ever since Arnix went bankrupt, she had never stepped back into the tech world. She returned to the racing scene and once again stirred up a wave of excitement, attracting countless admirers. I had even seen Gabriel and Andy in the audience at the racetrack. Not long ago, Monica had an accident and injured her spine. To numb the pain and continue racing, she turned to things she never should have touched until she became addicted. Now, her eyes were hollow, her skin pale and sallow. She had long lost the brilliance and radiance she once had. Even today, though she wore the most expensive gown and jewelry, she could no longer command attention. And yet, Gabriel still loved her deeply. He seemed determined to give her the very best of everything. The jewelry alone on her was worth over $1 billion. Even the wealthiest families didn't flaunt things like that. But Gabriel was willing to indulge her. Over the years, the Law family's business empire continued to flourish, showing signs of becoming the richest. Justin was unwilling to accept it, saying, "Why should a scumbag like him become the richest man?" He swore he would help me take everything back and make me the richest woman in the world. If he can't even beat me, doesn't that prove you really had bad taste back then? "Congratulations," Joaquin said sincerely. "You're one step closer to becoming the richest." Gabriel smiled. "If I don't try harder, How can I keep her by my side? His arm tightened slightly around Monica. So it really was all for her. Now, my heart no longer hurt, even when Monica looked at me with a gaze more blatant and provocative than before. Perhaps she didn't even realize it herself. She had already become the kind of person she once despised, someone who relied on a man to boost her vanity and sense of existence. I said the most sincere words of my life to Gabriel. I wish you both happiness. Gabriel looked at me, his smile unchanged. You too. A breeze passed by, turning into invisible blades, silently shredding someone's heart into pieces. Yet he still smiled, as gently as ever. Joaquin turned his head away, not even daring to look at him. Chapter 23. That day, Lucas also came and drank a lot. He wanted someone to talk to, so he walked over to Gabriel. I was the one who met her first, so why? Gabriel looked at him with a faint smile. If Alicia and Monica were both kidnapped, and you could only save one, who would you choose? Lucas froze for a moment, then answered without hesitation. Lynn. Gabriel's smile deepened. No, you would choose Monica. The certainty in his tone irritated Lucas, as if he had truly done such a thing before. But if Monica were still the radiant woman she once was, would he really not hesitate? Suddenly, a fragment flashed through his mind, something that felt like it had truly happened before. A sharp pain shot through his head. Gabriel didn't spare him another glance. Anyone who could hurt her didn't deserve to stay by her side. Even her own son. Andy. Turning back, Gabriel looked at the newlyweds. Joaquin, don't disappoint me. Otherwise. Gabriel smiled faintly and went to find Monica. The Zhao family had come that day as well, but they were stopped at the entrance. Monica. Did you see Alicia? What did she say? She carries my blood. The Zhao family needs her projects to rise again. Sam's nagging irritated Monica endlessly. Pablo stood there, exhausted, staring blankly at the grand occasion. That was a minister, and that one, a bureau chief, and the chairman of some powerful consortium. All figures he could never even dream of reaching, yet now they were circling Alicia, trying to curry her favor. If he hadn't treated his own sister like that back then, would his life have turned out differently? Dad. Let's go. Stop humiliating ourselves. Pablo turned and pulled Sam away. Sam was unwilling, still cursing under his breath. At that moment, Gabriel appeared, wrapping an arm around Monica, who now looked dejected, no longer favored by the Zhao family. He gently stroked her back. It's okay, you still have me. Seeing this scene, Joaquin felt a strange emotion stir in his chest. One day, I had merely taken out a photo of Andy and glanced at it, yet Joaquin went to find Gabriel for a drink. Where's Andy? I haven't seen him in a long time. He's abroad. He's so young. And you just left him alone overseas? Joaquin was shocked, even a little angry. Gabriel only smiled. That day, he had asked Andy, if your mom and Aunt Monica both fell into the water, who would you save first? Andy answered innocently. Andy will save both. What if you can only save one? Andy grew anxious and started to cry, tilting his little head. He thought carefully. Save Aunt Monica. Andy doesn't want to see Aunt Monica get hurt. What about your mom? Mom can do everything. Mom understands Andy best. Mom won't blame Andy. But if you don't save your mom, she might die. Then Mom should learn how to swim better. He had thought the answer would be different this time. But the result, the next day, Gabriel sent Andy abroad. Because anyone who could hurt her, I won't allow to stay by her side. Joaquin's heart trembled, and he chose to remain silent. Gabriel, however, remained completely calm. Have a child with her. She likes kids. Joaquin said nothing and took a hard gulp of alcohol. Gabriel, you must really hate Monica, don't you? With that much hatred, how can you still act so deeply in love, fooling everyone? Gabriel looked at him and smiled. Practice. If a few times aren't enough, then dozens of times, hundreds of times. Joaquin's lips twitched. For Alicia, how many times had he been reborn? Suddenly, Joaquin didn't dare to ask anymore. On the TV, a report was playing about Lynn's latest achievements. They both looked up, and in their eyes, there was only gentleness left. Chapter 24. After finishing their drinks, Joaquin asked, Gabriel, do you regret it? Regret letting her go to me? Did you know? I actually like plain water too. Alicia liked listening to the wind. Every time it was showing, he would take her to watch it and order every kind of drink in the mall, letting her choose what she liked. Dozens of drinks, one of each. But among them, one would always have 2 servings. The first time, he ordered 2 coffees. That time, she picked up the coffee. The second time, he ordered 2 cups of bitter tea. She frowned at the bitterness, yet still finished the entire cup. The last time, he ordered 2 cups of plain tea. She clearly liked plain water, yet every time she was by his side, she chose to compromise. Anyone who could hurt her, he would not allow to remain by her side. That included himself. I clearly like plain water too, yet I shamelessly enjoyed the tea-making skills she perfected just for me in the end. Joaquin, someone like me, isn't worth it. For a moment, Joaquin didn't know what to say. Fine snow began to fall from the sky. Gabriel tilted his head up, and in a daze, he seemed to see that girl again, dancing under the snow, calling out to him excitedly, "Gabriel, it's snowing!" A car pulled up. Alicia had come to pick up Joaquin after his drinking. Countless times before, she had come like this to pick Gabriel up as well. But now, she only gave him a distant nod, like a complete stranger. Gabriel still wore that gentle smile. Alone, he walked into the endless wind and snow. I used the deepest tenderness, the sweetest devotion, to trap her, gradually wearing away all her brilliance, only so that the one I loved could live a smooth life, never again harmed or overshadowed by her. Gabriel,